All right, time for your big tech censorship roundup. This is about who is not only being censored on the internet, but who is being fined, punished, and deplatformed.
So get out your PayPal accounts because you're ready to cancel these PayPal accounts.
Yes. PayPal is trying to act like it never wanted to fine users for misinformation, even though this was explicitly stated in a recent updated policy. Over the weekend, PayPal published a new acceptable use policy that said that the company retained the right to fine users $2,500 for each time that it decided that it did not like what you were doing. The most egregious thing listed was for misinformation, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But because we all know how that term is thrown around for censorship purposes, PayPal said that it could direct debit funds from your account for any of the following prohibited activities. So violation of the law, transactions for illegal things like guns and narcotics, online schemes or activity where you sold other people's information illegally, or material that PayPal found objectionable at their sole discretion. Now, this is the part that really gives me a stomachache, because it's just however the heck they feel about it. It's at their discretion. And the one number 5 that I'm going to show you here is about whether or not you've been involved in sending, posting, or publicizing messages, content, or material that in PayPal's sole discretion is harmful, obscene, harassing, or objectionable, depicts nudity, sexual activity, illegal drug use, this kind of thing. Okay, we get that, right? But if you go down to, let's see, E, depicts, promotes, or incites hatred or discrimination of protected groups or individuals or groups based on protected characteristics such as race, religion, gender identity, sexual orientation, presents a risk to user safety or well-being, is fraudulent or promotes misinformation, or is unlawful, or infringes on privacy, intellectual property, and is otherwise unfit for publication. So there's a bunch of things here.
What does that even mean? Yeah, and they're going to sit back and say, hey, you did this. The PayPal, a financial company, is going to tell us what rises to the level of egregious behavior based on incites hatred or depicts or promotes discrimination.
If I tell you
that are all subjective, by the way.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. What if I say I really don't like Ted Cruz?
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
I can say that.
Yeah.
I can say I don't like Ted Cruz.
I mean, literally, YouTube just launched a whole new YouTube channel devoted to misinformation and their strategy around it. Like, it's a whole... Anthony, thank you for sending that to me today. I was unaware of it. Literally, so they get to decide.
Right.
And they have videos like, what does this look like? And they have actors explaining it out. So if you don't like Ted Cruz, use that example.
Okay, let's just, and I just say, I really don't like that guy. I don't think he does good for American people. Is that maybe promoting cruelty? Is it hateful? I'm not saying anything hateful, but you could.
I feel triggered by it.
Okay. Is it like maybe I discriminate against him because of his whatever, right? Do I pose a risk to his well-being? Maybe it really upsets Ted Cruz, and this is a risk to his well-being. Maybe.
And let's use a real.
Go ahead.
I was going to say really quick. Sorry, just a real scenario like the Canadian truckers. Like they, by supporting their cause, if they would have used PayPal to send any money back and forth or anything, that would have been something that PayPal would have sent as they were sending money promoting misinformation or disinformation in some cases.
Mm-hmm. And especially because, as we just talked about in previous segments, the information about COVID vaccines has been moved, right? The goalpost has been moved about what we can say now based on acceptable assumptions that we couldn't say before. Now, PayPal said that these rules would go into place on November 3rd, but then over the weekend, people absolutely freaked out about it. So PayPal apologized and removed this from their website, but fortunately, a website called Value Added Resource published it, and the link is still live. So if you see, you can see this little mouse movement here is me. I click the link, and you get a blank document. So whereas before you actually got a real document, they still have it there. You still can download It's so stupid. Like, why not just take it down completely?
Right.
But you get this, but the damage has been done. And you can still download from the Wayback Machine the document. So what I have just showed you was from that document. I downloaded and kept myself a copy. Someone at PayPal, you know, they said they're sorry, but I don't think that that is acceptable because someone thought that it would be acceptable to write and publish this. It got published. Whether or not they intended to actually go through with this, I mean, I think they probably did. I think they were just caught and they said, oh, we're sorry. Not that we never intended to do this, but you know, let's just talk for a second about what PayPal finds is unacceptable. Here is one example. Just last month, PayPal shut down a parents group in the UK who dared to question school lockdowns. This was an advocacy group that was advocating for kids to be able to go to school if the rules came back into place for lockdowns. And PayPal shut them down due to the nature of activities.
That's unbelievable.
They were raising money so that they could get their kids to school. When they were shut down, PayPal didn't give them access to the donations that they had raised, and it was apparently thousands of pounds.
Well, think about this, how, you know, again, parents trying to raise money for their kids who were put under draconian rules during the pandemic in order to get this group. Because think about how many parents, for some, they had no choice but to go to work. They were deemed, what's the term?
Essential workers.
Essential workers, right? Mm-hmm. So they were forced to go to work, and then many of their kids had to stay home, or there were situations where, you know, neighbors had to help neighbors and trying to get their kids to school. So this was an opportunity for these families to try to help each other raise money to get these kids to school.
Yes.
And PayPal thought that was too much.
Another story that has been trending recently, and I'm not going to say the name of this group because I'm pretty sure that it's not in terms of service because they've been so deplatformed, is a group that speaks out about indoctrination of children. We can type it into maybe our Rumble chat, and this is maybe more motivation for you to join us over there because we are free to say those things. Philip and David, can one of you do that? Type it over there so that our at least
we can do it. Okay.
But yeah. This is a right-wing group that is a gay rights group, and that's all I will say. But they were suspended in September for being called hateful. What wasn't clear to me with these terms of service is whether PayPal had to be connected to your business that you were actually using it for, or if they could like seek out what you were doing and say, oh, this person has a PayPal account, let's find them. So for me personally, that's why I unlinked all of my bank accounts from my PayPal account, because what if they came and watched Redacted and they said, oh, we didn't like the piece you just did on Bosnia. We want to go with the NATO line on Bosnia, and therefore I'm going to fine you for those two pieces you did this week for Bosnia. And they just reach in and take it because there's no like you can contest it.
Yeah. And why $2,500? Like, it's such an arbitrary number. Like, they're taking $2,500. Who's going to reach into your account and fine you? Like, they're going to take your money. Oh yeah, but it's in our terms of service.
Yeah.
It's in our terms of service. You're using our platform and we're going to just take your personal money. And a lot of people use PayPal to just to pay the bills, right? They use PayPal because they have like a little side hustle on eBay, right? And they have a Bartlett. They have a little
Bartlett takes PayPal.
Yeah, they have a few like extra things that they do with crafting on Etsy or something like that, just to make a little bit of extra money. So they might have a few $100s in there, and then there's a lot of people that make a lot of money with PayPal. I'm not discounting that, but my point is that this is, you're ruining people's lives when you do something like this.
Yes, and at their sole discretion, which is not clear to me how they are going to. And what if you want to contest that? Then you're going to have to litigate. And Are you going to litigate for $2,500? Probably not.
And maybe that is exactly why it's $2,500, because like to retain a lawyer, right? That's a small claims court. And is PayPal,
they don't even have to really show up if they, you can get a judgment against them. But to what end? This is. It's really troubling. And so PayPal stock took a 5% hit on this news on Monday. But you can see here from this chart, I pulled just from this afternoon. You see the dip when the news hit over the weekend, but it's mostly rebounded. One of PayPal's founders, David Marcus, took to Twitter to criticize this. Elon Musk is also one of the founding members of PayPal, and he wrote at the bottom of this tweet that he agrees. David Marcus said, "It's hard for me to openly criticize PayPal, but these new terms of service go against everything I believe. A private company now gets to decide to take your money if you say something that they disagree with. Insanity." To which Elon Musk says, agreed. PayPal says this was all caused by confusion, which again, I call utter crap.
Yeah,
because there's no...
You write it up into terms of service. Like you literally write it up.
Well,
and publish it.
When these,
right.
Yeah, when these companies do this, like when I worked with AT&T on a live stream, every single sentence that we put out went through lawyers, through this whole chain of command before it ever got to go public. So that went through all different channels to get on that website. It wasn't like somebody's just like, just write some stuff up and put it up there.
I mean, just signing up for a PayPal account, or I had one years ago, and just to buy things on eBay or whatever. We all had. I mean, many of us had PayPal because I see a lot of people here saying they didn't. But just the hoops you have to jump through even to set it up, right?
Yeah.
Like personal ID verification, to all sorts of hoops and hurdles you have to jump through in order to even set up an account. You mean to tell me this was just confusion, that they just sent this out there arbitrarily? I don't buy that for a second.
Right. And, censorship is one thing. Deplatforming is another thing. But actually penalizing someone, this is big tech taking it one step further. It's not the same as punishing someone on Twitter. You're actually taking their money. Robbie Suave over at The Hill, he pointed out that PayPal still does have terms that prohibit the use of service for activities that relate to promotion of hate, violence, racial, or other forms of intolerance that is discriminatory, or the financial exploitation of a crime. So, again, what I didn't realize that was already in the terms of service, and they already can fine you for those things because we are journalists here, and we know that a lot of things that we say big tech doesn't like. Mm-hmm. That was motivation enough for me to start to go through the process of unlinking my accounts and canceling my PayPal account, because I do not need that in my life.
Well, and we're seeing this not just with PayPal, of course, but we saw this with Venmo. We're seeing this with
PayPal owns Venmo.
Oh, PayPal owns Venmo. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
GoFundMe. So to David's point earlier about the Canadian truckers, so we've seen GoFundMe, of course, making political statements, taking people's money, and then, of course, after a backlash. But what if people don't have the power of social media to get their money back, right? When you have a movement, right? Or people would call like the local television station to call like
7 on your side.
7 on your side to get our money back. We're going to call that investigative reporter down at ABC 7 on your side. It's like, what if you don't have that? You don't have that access. So we only hear about these big stories.
Young Ripa. His name is Eric. I can't remember. Eric July. He just launched a comic, and he launched it himself. Like he designed the comic and everything, and PayPal ended up keeping, I think it was like $1.2 million of his money, and wouldn't release it because they were like, oh, this is, you started a new business. We don't know if there's going to be refunds. And he needed that money for shipping. Fortunately, he had a voice to do something. But you look at some of these, like you were talking about earlier, these little mom and pops, they don't have a big movement behind them to be able to go and say anything. So PayPal just brushes them off and like, yeah, we don't. Just go away. Like you're not going to litigate against us. You don't have the money to get lawyers and all this other stuff like other people do. So, the Eric July, he ended up getting his money back. But think of all the money that PayPal has kept. Like it happened to me. I had a sale one weekend and I did like $50,000 in business. So they decided, and I had never had a refund before ever in the existence of my account, which was a very old account. And they're like, well, we're going to put a 20% rolling reserve on your account. And so you'll in 90-day rolling reserve. So in 90 days, we'll start releasing your funds that you get in every day. So I had at the end of the year about $25,000 that I could not access, that I needed to pay people. I needed to buy supplies, and it was just stuck there. And there was nothing I could do because I did not have a huge platform at that time.
That's so frustrating.
I mean, I've definitely had issues with PayPal, not to the level like you, but just even small things that really drove me nuts. What locked up my account. I wasn't able to get things to pay a bill and ended up having to default on a bill because of it. So yes, we should all absolutely, and Reclaim the Net this afternoon did a great piece on how to actually get rid of your PayPal account. And by the way, PayPal is still threatening So it's still there to fine users $2,500 for promoting intolerance. So you can actually go through and get rid of your account very simply by just, first of all, make sure you take the money out of your account, withdraw your funds, according to reclaim.net. Use the transfer money option if you're using PayPal's website. If you're using the PayPal app or PayPal business app, tap on your balance, select transfer money or withdraw money. Move it out of there, get it out of there, select the bank account, and then enter your PayPal balance as the amount you want to withdraw. Confirm that withdrawal, and then cancel any redirecting or any other pending payments, and then close your account. Do it, get that money out of there, and don't support companies like this. Dr. Peter McCullough was also talking about PayPal, and he believes they were coerced and pushed on this issue. Let's listen to Dr. McCullough, who, of course, has been just shut down on Twitter and totally censored there as well. Talk about free speech and these big tech companies going after people. Here are his thoughts on PayPal and more. Watch.
Just texting them before I came on. Joe Ladapo, Surgeon General, just had his analysis of excess death in young people, males age 18 to 39 from Florida. He had Twitter take that down and then become canceled himself, and then they've now resurrected it. We've seen a tremendous sweeping acts of censorship. Recently, PayPal announced that they were going to charge accounts $2,500 if PayPal determined that users were, spreading COVID misinformation. PayPal is not a place where anybody can post information. How is PayPal going to adjudicate this? How are they going to make the determination? And how in the world were they going to subtract $2,500 from people's accounts? PayPal quickly backpedaled and said, no, they didn't mean to do this. I think that someone has approached PayPal and they tried to induce PayPal to somehow now get into payment systems and influence the COVID narrative. People ought to be asking questions, Steve, because what's next? Bank of America, Citibank, people's mortgages, their retirement? We need to ask serious questions.
That's a great point. I mean, to think about who's going to adjudicate this, right? Because it's not you don't post tweets on PayPal. It's not like a social media platform.
Yeah.
Right. So they're going to have to seek out what you do in order to police your account, right? And then shut you down. And then where does it go from here? Like, we don't have protections. He's right. Does it go to Bank of America next?
Yeah.
Does it go to all these other, other
Stripe.
companies?
Yeah.
Stripe. Yeah, exactly.
Think about Stripe, and it happened to, think about Patreon. Patreon suspended people for tweets that they made, not even on their platform. They were completely on a different platform. So these companies are talking about policing other social networks for anything you say and getting rid of you or fining you on their platform.
Yeah.
So if I lost Stripe, I don't know what I would even do. I don't know how I would stay in business.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we had that happen to us with Stripe a few years ago. They shut us down. So, and then you've had PayPal issues, and it's like, my God, man,
yeah, this is scary.
It really is scary. It really is scary.
Well, maybe you covered this and I missed it, but so if you had your bank account tied to PayPal, what they were talking about was if I had $100 in there, they could still withdraw that $2,500 from my bank account. That was absolutely insane.
That was my understanding of it, because even if your PayPal balance is $100, they know how to charge your checking account. They regularly do that.
Because when you sign up, you approve that connection. You make the connection to your bank account, and they're like, okay, we have permission that if you sell something and you don't have enough in your PayPal to cover it, we pull it from your bank account.
Yes.
And it's the same thing with withdrawals and all that. So yeah, you are connecting. So if you are connected to your bank, that's what I would disconnect, because you don't want to find $2,500 just gone.
Yeah. Yeah. That was my first move. I was like, whoa, what's this? Delete, 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 delete.
Yeah. Get rid of PayPal.